I almost dropped my banana. Oops. It's such a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that I'll be back when the day is new and I'll have more ideas for you. And you'll have things you'll want to talk about. I will too. Guys, I am in such a good mood. It's not even funny. It's just not even funny. Um, like I have so much like internal energy. Is not even funny, but I can't tell you why. I'm just very happy. But anyway, I want to talk about long-term thinking versus this short-term thinking and why. And I believe long-term thinking will ultimately bring you to victory anytime you're dealing with, the enemies of God. Let me be very specific about what I'm talking about. A long time ago, for example, just to give you guys a little bit of an example, whatever, before I start going into the story or whatever. I was in a Google Hangout with some atheists, like early on in my YouTube career and whatnot. And the Bible thumping wingnut was in there. And I remember him giving me some really good advice because he saw my method of debating. He told me, G-Man, just let them talk. Just let them talk. Just let them talk. Because they'll hang themselves. You want to know why? Because they start bragging about having all these degrees. They start talking about how they know the Bible more than you. They'll claim that they'll tell you all of their strategies and whatnot before you end up making your main point or whatever. They'll do all the work for you. Just hold them accountable to it, and then you got them. So that never left me. Like I said, when Christians say things to me, I may act like I'm hard-headed and whatnot, but trust me, I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm always listening. So Emery says, "How was the?" Oh, I couldn't tell you because I'm still here. But anyway, here's the thing, guys. Nobody wins a war looking at the short term. Nobody wins a war looking at the short term. What you have to do is have a series of short terms, which will turn into the long term and will ultimately get you victory. You got to know what you're doing. You have to know see, a lot of people make goals and they don't know how to achieve them. You understand what I'm saying? Like, let's say I got this outstanding goal. I want to be the CEO of Pepsi Cola or whatever, right? Well, in order for that to happen, I'm probably going to have to prove that I'm serious about this. I'm probably going to have to go to the government. I'm probably going to have to do the work. And believe me, there's a lot of work involved in those things. And I'm going to have to get a financial aid application because, a lot of us can't afford to go to college with our own money and whatnot. But if you can, God bless you. You fill out the form, you get the money from the government, and then you submit the form, and then you get financial aid, and then you got to get off your behind and actually go to school. Then after you go to school for business and learning management, then you got to be able to learn what you're going to do in the interview. You got to you got to plan all of this stuff out. And some of this stuff can take years. But once you're the CEO of Pepsi Cola, you know what I mean? You accomplish a goal, but it's a series of small goals over a long period of time. You see, a short-term thinking person who can't think past tomorrow, or who can't think past right now, is a person who's thinking about what can they accomplish today? What can they accomplish today? What can they get done today? And that's about it. And they'll just wing it from there. See, I'm not like that. Shannon Rocky paid me a compliment a long time ago when she said to me that I was a long-term thinker. And she I never told her that about me. She watched my YouTube videos and knew that about me. Okay. That is why if I ever debate that woman, I'm telling you, I'm going in there prepared. She's the only real woman on YouTube who disagrees with Christianity that I have this attitude about. I wouldn't prepare for Tracy Harris and the rest of these other people. No. I would prepare Well, that's not true. There's one other person, but this person ain't with us no more. But I would make sure that I prepare for a debate with Shannon Rocky, because I know the woman's going to embarrass me if I don't. Now, I got some Christian friends that be like, I listen to her. She doesn't say anything deep or whatever. Well, with the kind of thinking that Shannon Rocky has, she's a long-term thinker too, you know, and she's pretty deep with her stuff. She knows what she believes about what she believes. I watched her just go into a room with a whole bunch of people that disagree with her, and she didn't just refute them. She made them all just change the topic because they couldn't deal with her. And I've always admired that about her. And that's because I have the same quality too. You know what I mean? My quality is to think long term. I play old games. Says you only live once. If you spend your whole life wishing for the next, just imagine the sadness you have when you die, and there's nothing more. That has to be the biggest letdown ever. Amen. Amen. So, getting back to what I was saying about, like, you know, long-term thinking and whatnot. Again, she said this about me in the past and whatnot. She said, and she probably doesn't remember. She's probably got to look at old Skype thingies and whatnot, or maybe I can find an old Skype call recorded or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, she gave me a really good compliment, and I never forgot that. Shanny, you know, I'm sorry, Shanna Rocky, you know, thanks for that. But I don't get caught up in this short-term stuff, because in wars, you're going to lose battles. For example, in World War II, America lost a lot of little teeny little battles, but we didn't lose the overall war. In the Civil War, I mean, my goodness, the North lost a whole lot of wars, a whole lot of little mini battles, but the North didn't lose the war. And that's what I care about at the end of the day. People think I care about battles. I care about the war. And I already know, with a lot of these debates that I have with these non-believers, and now with some believers, unfortunately, with certain things, that as long as I know where I'm going with what I'm talking about, and I know what the end game is, I'll do well. I'll give you an example of something that I did a long time ago that people didn't really quite understand about me. I had a debate with J.D. King. How many of you remember that? That debate was on, I think it was on a Resurrection account. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, it was on a Resurrection account. And I played stupid for the entire debate. I was smart. I wanted to debate him on his YouTube channel. I wanted Hog Tie Champ to be the moderator. Played it all out. I wanted all of the odds to be into his favor. Played it all out. Thought this through really well, because I know both of their personalities and I know how these people are. I didn't want no excuses. So I gave weak responses to the things that he was saying. Some people even thought I was trolling at this point. I wasn't even like really trying during the debate. I really wasn't. And because I knew all I had to do was ask one question and it was over. One question. That was it. I asked one question and it was over. It was like over. So during the debate, we finally got to the Q&A, and I made this little rule that you had to answer all the questions, and that you had a certain amount of time to answer it. And one of the things I noticed that he was doing was, when I asked him a question, he took a long time to answer it. It was a strategy that a lot of them were using. They would just beat around and talk about nothing. They'll talk to them about ping pong or Mario Brothers or something like that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, this person doesn't even know what I'm doing. And I'm getting upset, visibly upset in there and whatnot, because some of it was a little frustrating. And then I was asking one question, because he was making all of these positive claims about the resurrection. How many of you remember that? Oh, there are different accounts of who was at the tomb and la 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 la. And I'm like, man, I could just rip this apart theologically, but I am talking to atheists, and it's a waste of my time. So I said to him, I asked him this one question, and I got the moderator mad, and I got him mad, and everybody just went completely haywire after I asked this one question. Did you read the Bible? I knew he was just repeating what some popular atheists thought. And I asked him, did you read the Bible? And when he said no, I didn't even feel like even talking to him no more in that debate, because I knew it was over at that point. Because what you just admitted is that you didn't read the account. You don't know what the heck you're talking about. You didn't do any real research on what you're talking about. So there's no way in the world you're going to be able to break down for me the theology behind what you're reading. All you're doing is repeating what somebody else said. He lost all of his credibility with the Christians that were listening, and his hopes and dreams of embarrassing me and winning Christians over to atheism went down in flames. Because I'm a Christian myself, and I know how we think. Let me say this again. Let me look in this camera here, okay? I'm a Christian myself, and I know how we think. So when I'm thinking long term, my mind is thinking greater than 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. My brain is in December on what I'm planning on doing. You understand what I'm saying? And when you think like that, you don't care about these little setbacks that you're going to have. You adjust and you do what you got to do. And that's what you're supposed to do. And I always say this, ladies and gentlemen, I always say this. One of my, and this is something that goes over everybody's head. If you don't remember anything else I say in this video, pay attention to what I'm about to say right now. One of my greatest assets here on YouTube is that people think I'm stupid. That's one of my greatest assets on here. People think I'm stupid, that I'm an idiot, that I'm a moron, and I have no understanding. That's why a lot of them, before I debate them, will try so hard to find out what I'm going to argue. I was going to have a debate with, who was I have a debate with? I think I was going to have a debate with, I remember Griffin 9857. And for those of you who don't know, she's an autistic atheist who I debated on if God actually, I think if God actually, was it the flood? No, if God actually existed. And my God, she sent Suzuki Das. She sent everybody and their mama to try to figure out what I was going to debate. Now, I openly admit I didn't do well in that debate. I lost that debate. And I openly admit it because I know when I did well in the debate and I know when I did horrible. And in that case, I constantly repeat the words that I lost that debate. It's a sign of humility for myself so that I can be, and I keep that video up on YouTube as a reminder. Don't you ever go into one of those things unprepared again. Don't you ever, ever, ever go into one of these things unprepared again. And I make sure that when I get ready to take care of my business, that I got my paperwork and I got everything I need to prove my points. And make sure if you said something, I have a copy of it. I make sure that if I see you argue it before, I bring it back up again. Because I know what I'm doing in that regard. So I'm not stupid. I'm certainly not uneducated. And I recognize desperation when I see it. Now, again, how do we win wars? I'm going to offer YouTube some advice. Think long term. Stop thinking about today. Stop thinking about tomorrow. Start thinking like months down the road. Make small goals and accomplish them over a long period of time. A lot of you don't know this, a lot of you do know what I'm about to say. I train for marathons. Okay, I train for marathons. I'm really not a runner though. You know what I mean? Like I had to learn how to run. Like I'm not joking when I say to people that when I started training for marathons, I was already a walker, and I love walking because I don't know how to drive. Okay, I don't know how to drive. One day I am going to get my license, but I got some nonsense that I got to go through, some identity theft and all that stuff and whatnot. But you know, and that's going to be when I'm 50 or 60 years old. Because honestly, I just don't got the interest. If I took you to the backyard right now, I got like 5 bikes back there. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is this. And I love riding bikes. I absolutely love it. I ran a half a mile first. The next day I ran a full mile. Okay, let me give you an example when we're talking about. As far as city blocks go, I ran 10 city blocks, and then I ran 20 city blocks. Then I got a little more ambitious, and I ran 40 city blocks. Then I ran 45 city blocks. Then I ran like 55 city blocks, and I built baby steps. I remember when I did my first 5 miles, I wanted to cry. I remember when I did my first 10 miles, I thought I accomplished the unaccomplishable accomplishment. You know what I mean? I remember when I did my first 12 miles, I wanted to fall. I remember when I did my first 16 or 17 miles. I remember that. My legs were killing me. Every time I walked, I felt muscles I never felt before in my life. And when I finished my first marathon, let me tell you something. Everything that I experienced in that first marathon was worth all of the work that I had to go through. Because I had cramps in the bottom of my feet. I had cramps in my hamstrings and my thighs. My toenails came off. If any of you ever saw my nails, you'd be like, I mean, it is that bad. You know what I mean? I had cramps on my side, salt all over my face. I was a hot mess. First marathon. You know what I mean? Then I had my second marathon. I had my third marathon. And I'm training for my fourth marathon. And I might do a marathon in the city that I'm living in right now. Because I see that is really rewarding the way that people are talking about it. People are very positive around here with their running and everything and whatnot. Yes, my toenails came off. Like when I was running, I think so some of my nails just came off because I had blisters underneath my nails from all of the training I was doing. Now, since then, I changed my regimen. I don't run as often no more. Back then, I used to run 5 to 6 days a week. Now I try to do it every other day now when the weather permits. And I do that because I'll do a short day, I'll do a hard day, I'll do a long day, and then I'll hop on that treadmill. Like the closer and closer I get to the marathon, the more cut I'm going to start looking when we get to that day because I work very hard to train for these things. Yeah, my toenails come right off. So listen to me. If you never ran a marathon before, do it. Okay, just do it. It's going to be one of the most painful experiences of your life, but it's one of the most rewarding things in your life. But in order to be able to train for a marathon, you got to know how to think long term. You got to know what you're doing. You got to find out the laws, the rules, how you got to train. It's a lot of work that goes into these things. Nobody's going to win no war with anybody on short-term thinking only. You need to first figure out where you're going, and then you need to make baby steps on how to get there. And that's why I don't struggle in these Google Hangouts no more. I go into these Google Hangouts, man, now I just sit back and I just wait for them to say the same regurgitated, copied stuff from their leaders that they always say on here all the time because they don't have an original thought. You know what I mean? So then I love it when people try to change the strategy on me and they're like, oh, you know, when you're dealing with so-and-so, do it this way. Especially when they do it in my room. And then I'm the one who can come to the conclusion whether or not this person's trolling me or not. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Somebody comes in my room. Hey, let's debate about evolution. Great. You know, GMan, the only reason you suppress evolution is because the only reason you don't believe in evolution because you suppress the truth and unrighteousness. That's an argument that I used about, you know, regarding them and whatnot. But I'm listening to this and then thinking I'm going to get mad and I'm going to get upset because everybody knows my trolling rules in my room. You troll me, you're gone. But instead of kicking them out, I'm like, maybe I can use this to make this guy look dumb. So they'll say something like this and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, good, say it. Okay, good. So I'm suppressing the truth and unrighteous. What information am I suppressing? GMan, you want to research? What makes you think I research? You can know all about these things. Well, GMan, do you understand this? Do you understand that? Actually, I do. And I know what your claims are. And I've been openly honest about where I am on these topics. Anything else you want to know? I never claimed to be a know-it-all. I will openly admit when I'm using Google. I don't have to pretend and buy time to look up something and whatnot. I will get the technical definition of a word. You don't scare me. You know what I mean? Because what's the long-term goal? The long-term goal is to wake people up about the lie of evolution. I have a long-term goal. I want people to start believing in intelligent design and start believing in creation, not evolution. And I can tell you this because my enemies are not very bright. They don't know how to listen to something like this and be like, so my counterattack is going to be this. They don't know how to do those kind of things. They don't know what they're doing. They really don't know what they're doing. And it's quite sad if you ask me. If you ask me, it's very, very, very sad. You know what I mean? I've learned through the summer of GMan, for example, for those of you who know what I'm talking about with all the drama and everything that was going on this channel. You got to watch out for people that try to trigger you. And one of the most, and I'm talking about this long-term war now, you know, the little battles and whatnot. I've made it a little goal of mine. I made it a rule now, a way of life now, that when somebody is intentionally trying to trigger you and you recognize it and you see it, number one, the first thing you got to do is accept it. Great. Just accept the fact that they're trying to trigger you. Number two, ignore them. Don't give them what they want, because the whole purpose of triggering you is to get you to respond. So in my fight with trying to wake people up from their atheistic or their Muslim beliefs or their Hindu beliefs, or even these Luciferians that I've been talking about on this channel for a while. And it doesn't matter who it is. If you want to wake them up, you know, you got to stay away from the stupidity and just deal with the facts. You got to deal with the information. Because they're going to do everything they can to change the topic because they know they're in trouble. You know what I mean? You know you're winning when you have a goal. Like, let's say, for example, I upload a video and I'm looking for you to react a certain way. You know you're winning when you get a certain response. I've been good at that for a very long time on here. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking. There's a YouTuber on here named, what was his name? What's that guy name? He actually lives in PA. I should actually go to his house, actually. I forget his name. His name, Greg K. Look him up. G-R-E-G-K. Me and him had a video exchange. And he just kept going on here talking about Christianity, talking about how evil Jesus was, and how evil Christianity was, and all this stuff and whatnot. I said, you know what? I got something for him. Maybe. And back then I used to use my phone. I used to record and look at the camera. Look at the phone, look at the camera, look at the phone, look at the camera, look at the phone, look at the camera, and then respond that way, because I didn't know how to use these computers and whatnot. You can look at my early career and you'll see what I'm talking about. I was like a real moron when it came into my computer and whatnot. And I'm still learning every single day. And I said, you know what? I'm going to see what this guy, I'm going to dig in his grill about this. And this guy came back like he showed his satanic things. Look, type in XX0054 and look up the Greg K video response. That guy responded with such visceral and such anger and such malice. Like, I have all this stuff on this hard drive that I recently found. I'm thinking about re-uploading this stuff to on this YouTube channel. I'm thinking about doing that to show people how some, not all of these people react when you say certain things in videos regarding the actual topic at hand. Does God exist? Is Jesus immoral? Or anything like that. Some of them, this same man told me that hell was a fictional place, for example, right? This same man told me that hell didn't exist. Then I made a video stating what's going to happen to him if he doesn't repent. Go look at the history. If you don't, I'll treat you and show you guys how I responded. So this guy came out. He went from being like a Papa Smurf to coming out like. It was hilarious, because if you don't believe that hell exists, why are you responding this way? He was like, do you know what happens when fire goes in the flesh? Do you know what happens? I said, dude, it's a fictional place. Why are you getting so angry? That's why I keep saying these people know hell exists, they know heaven exists, and they know that God exists. And they just have hatred for him. And they will use and play anybody in order to achieve their goals. They'll use you and spit you out. That's what they're going to do. They'll get your ear, convince you of a lie, get you to walk in that lie, believe in that lie, damage what's left of your reputation, and then kick you, spit you out after they use you. Kind of what Jesus was talking about a dog returning to its vomit. You know, so I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I'm a planner. I know what I'm doing. And I'm not the least worried about my enemies on here and whatnot, because I think long term. I'm not this short term thinker. I'm not the person that's thinking about only today. Anybody who only thinks about today, you got issues. Now, my Bible tells me, well, I say not my Bible, don't tell me this. This is a principle a lot of us Christians live by. So for those who are saved, you're going to understand what I'm talking about. A lot of us live by this philosophy where we say that live as if Christ was going to come back today, and plan as if Christ wasn't going to come back for 1,000 years. You know what I mean? I'm living as if Christ is going to come back today. Am I going to mess up today? Absolutely. I probably already messed up. Don't even know it yet. So I probably need to go in my prayer closet and ask God to forgive me for some impure thought I had in my head or something like that. And then there are times when I get in the flesh and I do really stupid things. I mean, who doesn't? You know what I mean? Then there's people like Vigilant Christian Mario, who gets caught. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I went on the Drunken Peasants last night. I'm going to change the topic here a little bit, but it's going to be relevant here. I went on the Drunken Peasants last night, and we brought up the topic of Vigilant Christian Mario came up. Also, I was trying to get the idea of getting Brett Keane to go on there and whatnot, because I want to see, because I asked them how much money did they want in their Patreon to see Ben debate Brett Keane, and he didn't want to do it. So I had to respect them on their show. But what happened was, what was I going to say? Some of the Drunken Peasants, what we talk about? Oh, Vigilant Christian Mario. And what happened was they was telling me that he was gay. And I said, well, can I watch the video in which you're talking about? I mean, anybody, it's not good to just take somebody's word for it. Like, let's look at what you're talking about. And they're talking about the pictures that he got a hold of to get to this girl and whatnot. And I was like, wait a minute. How does that prove that he's gay? I can prove that that might make him a bit of a fornicator, but how does that make him gay? And I'm listening to all these opinions. Like, go watch this show. You'll hear what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I don't see how you guys are coming to the conclusion that he's gay. Like, where is that? And I'm talking to the peasants about this. I understand that they have their opinions. If I was in the world, I might be thinking the same way, but and coming to the conclusion that he's gay, I would think some other things, but I don't know about being gay. So I know that whenever I'm talking to these guys and I go on that show, first of all, long-term thinking versus short-term thinking. I'm not going in here to get views and subscribers. That I'm not doing anymore. Because I used to go on there because I wanted the people to come and subscribe to my channel, and they had a lot of people there I wanted to talk to. They had Dusty Smith, Jack McGlynn, they had the Amazing Atheists, like people I wanted to talk to, and I still like talking to Ben because he's funny. And I talked to Billy the Fridge now. I think he is pretty funny too. I'm actually trying to set up a rap battle between me and Billy the Fridge for y'all personal entertainment. So, and he's a professional. I'm not. So you know it's going to be fun when it's time to do that. But when I go in there, I got my long-term thinking. I already know I'm going to be mocked. People are going to be laughing at me. I already know that people are going to make fun of me. And they're going to make jokes about my God. And I'm going to make jokes. But still, they need to see somebody come on here who's a Christian, that's not going to fall for their baloney, that can stand firm in their faith. And then they need to see that. They need to see somebody who's going to stick. They keep asking me, do you still believe in starving Christian kids? I'm sorry, do you still believe that there are no starving Christian kids? And I stick to my same answer. I do not change. Because it's a faith-based statement that I'm making. So how do you know they're Christians? And you're talking about how 90% of the people in Africa are Christian. That's quite a statement, considering all of the drug cartels and all that stuff that's going on over there. Just real quick, how do you know they're Christians? And I've been saying the same thing. I don't change my answer just because I go in there. You know what I mean? And they need to see that, because I think one day it might affect Billy or it might affect Ben or one of those guys went in and cause them to reconsider what they believe. So, let me see something here. Wow, Heart. GMan, you deserve to be tortured in Narnia. Does it matter that Narnia doesn't exist? It's still pretty insulting. That's not insulting to me. What the heck is Narnia? Are you talking about like the witch, the warlock, and the lion or something like that? Do I deserve to be tortured in Narnia? Narnia, can you tell me a little bit about Narnia? Because I don't know nothing about it. It doesn't offend me. How does that offend me that I deserve to be tortured in Narnia? In Narnia, I already believe that I deserve the lake of fire. And this is what people just don't. I can say that for the next 100 years. People will not get it. None of us think we're perfect. We know we're screw-ups. People really don't get that. You know what I mean? But you'll get it when you stand before Jesus and you have to give an account for your own life, you know, because a lot of people ain't going to do well. So anyway, too many of my enemies are approaching me with this short-term nonsense. I can't beat GMan in a one-on-one conversation about evolution. I can't deal with him. I can't change him. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to this person over here, and I'm going to listen to what he's got to say, see how he deals with them, see if I like it, and I'll do the same thing. And I'm going to tell you something. At first, I was mad about that. I was like, man, I should ban these people from my channel. I'm thinking about lifting a ban on here. You want to know why? I've noticed that since they adopted this type of thinking, that their intelligence has gone down a couple of notches. They're not as quick on their feet as they used to be. They don't know how to respond to certain questions like they used to be. The sword isn't sharp no more. The sword is kind of dull. Like they can strike my neck with this dull sword and I'll be just fine. My sword is sharp. It's sharp because I argue the same way all the time. You coming to me saying, well, the only reason you don't believe in evolution because you suppress juvenile righteousness. That's really the best you got? Wow. I'll tell you what, you feel like debating me on that topic? You feel like getting a moderator and debating this? Because when I respond to this in 2 minutes, you're going to look like an idiot. And the person that told you that is going to look like a bigger one because he's the one who taught you this. Wild Heart says the difference. I don't think you deserve to be tortured at all. Well, Wild Heart, I do believe I deserve to be tormented in the lake of fire day and night for my sins. However, we Christians accept what we don't deserve, and that is salvation from Jesus Christ. None of us really deserve it. Christ took the punishment for us. That's why a lot of y'all don't understand. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people think that we Christians think we're perfect. Ask me one day, do you think I'm perfect? No, I don't believe I'm perfect. Let me tell you something. One of these days, I'm going to make a YouTube video exposing myself. And let me explain what I mean by that. Like, I'm literally going to think about all of the most horrible things I've ever done, and I'm going to put them on YouTube for everybody to see. With proof. With proof. One day I'm going to do that. And I'm going to teach people how to properly expose people on here. You know what I mean? Because some people here don't know what they're doing. They don't know me. They don't know what really gets to my being. Yeah, you can irritate the flesh, but you don't know how to get to my being, like who I am as a person. You don't know how to do that. Because in order to do it, you have to be around me long enough to know what my innermost issues are. And really, Evangelist Ken can do it tomorrow if he wanted to. He knows me. Like, he knows me. Evangelist Ken could cremate me if he wanted to right now. You know what I mean? My brother ever became an atheist and got on here and told all my, please, those people can cremate me. But people that are superficial and don't really know nothing about, please, I ain't thinking about them people. I'm not thinking about them. Because at the end of the day, I never claimed to be perfect. I never claimed that I had all my stuff down and all this other stuff and whatnot. And they're going to make themselves look worse than what they're already making themselves look now. So it don't bother me none. It don't bother me one iota. I'm pretty much an open book. I'm pretty upfront about my stuff. You know what I mean? But I do ask for the same respect and my privacy that other people want for their life. Because I figure this, and everybody learned this last summer. If you're not going to respect my privacy, I don't see why I need to respect yours. At this point, I know so much information about folk on here and whatnot that I'm just waiting. Just waiting. You know what I mean? That's it. So I'm not really, worried about nobody. But let's get back to the actual topic because I kind of went on a tangent. If you're going to do Google Hangouts with these people, guys, have a long-term goal. We want to win them to Christ. That's the ultimate one. We want to see all of these atheists who are mocking God have a change of heart and a change of mind and have them spend eternity with God. We don't want them to suffer no more. We don't want them to be hungry no more. We don't want them to go through anything no more. We want them to be able to understand the love of God, the mercy and the forgiveness that we all have. We want them to understand this. A lot of you probably don't know as a black man how hard it is for me to listen to the Hebrew Israelites talk the way I used to talk when I was in the world. I was never a racist, but I had strong black nationalistic opinions myself at one time before I became a believer, before I had a big change of heart and mind, before I was born again or whatever. But when I came to Christ, that stuff died. I don't care about that stuff no more. I just don't. And it's kind of harsh for a black man to live in the United States to say that he's not really thinking about the transatlantic slave trade. He's not thinking about the injustices, although when it happens, it really angers me because I'm not a big fan. That racist stuff, man. These days, you can sue people for racist marks all the time. You know what I mean? So racism is a very serious thing. You got to be careful when you use that N-word. You got to be very, very careful. Very careful. Because that stuff will come back to bite you in the butt. I'm not a racist, and I love white people. I love black people. I love Indian people. I love Asian people. I love Arabian people. I love every race of people that's out there. I don't have a preference when it comes to women. I think that women of all shapes and sizes are awesome. And now there's an issue of attraction, but I don't believe, like, for example, when I became a believer, because I used to suffer from low self-esteem myself. When I became a believer, I stopped when I became a believer, I stopped believing that there's a such thing as an ugly person. There's no such thing as ugly people. We're all made in the image of God. And if I look at a human being and I call them ugly, what am I really saying at the end of the day? Spiritually speaking, that's different. There are a lot of ugly spiritual people out there. A lot of them. There are some women in the flesh that we would send. For those of you who are not Christians, let me explain to you what I'm talking about. Outside of Christianity. That's what I mean by being the flesh. All right. There are a lot of people in the flesh. Like we might look at a Christian, at a Tyra Banks. Wow. But in the spirit, I wouldn't touch them people with a 10-foot pole. You understand what I'm saying? I want to touch it with a 10-foot pole because I all that mocking and hating God that comes from Rad and then Tyra Banks was some phony baloney. No. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I used to have low self-esteem while art. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you a little secret about me. When I was growing up, I only dated white people. I don't got a problem talking about that. When I became a Christian, that changed literally overnight. You guys got to know what it means to be born again. You have got to experience Christ. You got to experience God. Because when he changes you, he changes you. There's no fake people on here that claim they're changed and they're not. They're doing the same mess they were doing when they was in the world. But when you come to Christ, and I came to Christ in 2000, and again, in the year 2000. That's when I became a Christian. I became a Christian in the year 2000. So when that happens, like God changed my whole entire perspective on everything. On everything. This became a different person. Became a different person with different thinking and different desires and different goals. I wasn't a debater before I became a believer. Crazy. Do you honestly believe when I was a non-believer that I sat here and debated religion? You crazy. Man, I just agreed with you just for the sake of agreeing. If you guys remember my past, I grew up with a Muslim dad and a non-church going, non-Bible reading, non-practicing Christian mom.